Sneha, first of all, to begin with, how does Out of the Box Consulting Group help small business owners develop a clear and actionable strategy?
Right. Well, essentially, what we do is we take a full 360-degree overview on a business. We act as kind of that tough love that every business needs, where
Your company hosts 2 networking events per month, right? How important is community building and networking for business growth, first of all?
well, I would say, to be honest, network is everything. Like, from when I started in the business world, like, the only way I was able to get here today is because I go expand my network, to go to these networking events that happen all over the city and in different countries. So I would say network is literally your net worth. It can determine who you work with in the future.
Hi, this is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we bring industry leaders and entrepreneurs together to share insights that help small businesses grow and innovate. According to the Business Development Bank of Canada, only 10% of small businesses scale beyond 5 employees, and 42% struggle with strategic planning and market expansion. This highlights the growing need for strong business strategies and advisory support to help entrepreneurs overcome barriers and achieve sustainable growth. Joining us today is Sneha Kumar, founder of OOTB Consulting Group, a business consulting firm that specializes in helping SMBs with business strategy development, operations improvement, and market expansion. Sneha's journey from arriving in Canada with next to nothing to building a thriving business empire is a testament to resilience, strategy, and the power of thinking outside the box. Today, we'll explore how business owners can develop stronger strategies, expand into new markets, and leverage expert advisory support to scale successfully. All right, so let's dive in. Sneha, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. So I'm very excited for the conversation today. Uh, Marketing is something that is required by literally every business, and AI is no longer the buzzword, right?
Right.
Many small business owners, in the starting of their journey, they struggle with strategic planning, which is why 42% of them, find it difficult to scale beyond a certain point.
Right.
Now, Sneha, first of all, to begin with, how does Out of the Box Consulting Group help small business owners develop a clear and actionable strategy?
Right. Well, essentially, what we do is we take a full 360-degree overview on a business, and we get to know the ugly truth and what's working, what is not working. And I like to say, like, our team and consultants as a whole, we act as kind of that tough love that every business needs, where most entrepreneurs and business owners are emotionally attached to their
Right.
business, which can prevent them from taking appropriate steps to scale and to grow. So we come in, we take that outlook, and we provide them with a lot of insight that they may be missing in order to make those future decisions.
Wow, that is such a valuable approach. Now, many businesses, focus on short-term goals, but a strong foundation, allows for a long-term and especially also a sustainable growth, which is a requirement. Now, one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs is balancing day-to-day operations while also planning for the future.
Right.
Now, how do you specifically help businesses prioritize strategic planning while, managing the daily operations bit of it?
Well, essentially, we try our best to take off the stress of strategic planning with our clients. We let them focus on optimizing their daily efficiencies and their daily operations, and then with the results of that, we'll take those results and then we will basically create a strategic plan or an action plan for the next year to 2 years. And one thing about us and our approach is we focus very strictly on goals and values. Those are two things that are really important
Right.
to us, and that's the main. We essentially start with goals, and then we go from there, and we look at we pull in the appropriate parties that we need in order to help those clients reach their goals.
Great. A solid strategy is just the beginning for any business's marketing trajectory. Now, for businesses to grow, they need to expand into new markets and, seize new opportunities as well. That brings us to how small businesses can successfully scale beyond their current market that they're in. Dear listeners, Growth does not happen by accident. It takes intentional planning, execution, and the right strategies. Entrepreneurs who invest in business development and expert advisory support position themselves for long term success. Now, according to Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, only 7% of small businesses successfully expand beyond their initial market due to, challenges in scaling operations, accessing new customer bases, and many other pitfalls. Now, market expansion is one of the biggest hurdles for small businesses. How does Out of the Box Consulting Group helps businesses, scale and successfully enter new markets? Because why I ask this is because a lot of the listeners, they might be at a stuck stage. They don't know where to go on from here point.
Right.
So go ahead and clear.
So, I mean, I would say the main thing is, and we've worked with clients that, have been established in their industries over 15, 20 years,
Right.
and newer businesses within the next year, or with a year or two of experience. And I think the most common ground that we find is, in order to scale and enter new markets, you have to create a system that can be duplicated. If you don't go back to, day one, and go back to the foundations of your business model and your overall strategy, then you really can't duplicate something that is not ready to be duplicated.
Right.
So what we'll do is, regardless of what stage they're at in their business, whether they're seasoned or not, we always go back to the roots, we go back to the foundation, we look at, like I said, the ugly truths, fix the problems, make it something that can be duplicated, essentially. And then we do the research in regards to, best performing markets for that business type, or even just based on their current customer insights. And that's how we'll create a strategic plan, essentially, for them to engage in new markets. It's really about creating that duplicatable system, I guess, from the beginning. And then at that point, it's much easier to scale.
And the solution, it always lies in the basic questions, right? If
Hmm.
the starting point is correct, the most of your things that you're
Exactly.
going to do are correct as well.
Hmm.
Now, that's a great insight, first of all, Sneha. Now, expanding into new markets, it requires both a strategic approach and the right execution plan.
Right.
Now, scaling can also mean expanding your reach, expanding your network, and building stronger connections.
Hmm.
Now, your company hosts 2 networking events per month, right? How important is community building and networking for business growth, first of all?
Well, I would say, to be honest, network is everything. Like,
Right.
from when I started in the business world, like, the only way I was able to get here today is because I was not afraid to say hi, and to go and expand my network, to go to
Mhm.
these networking events that happen all over the city, and
Mhm.
in different countries. So I would say network is literally your net worth. It can determine who you work with in the future. And if you really think about it, your community around you is a reflection of who you are, right? So just these networking events, essentially, I started building the brand around them, because networking is a huge part of our both our clients and even our students that we mentor on a consistent basis, because you never know who your next partner is, right?
Exactly. You don't know where the potential is going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Collaboration is so important to us. It's one of our core values at OOTB, and it's just because I personally feel like a team of passionate people is more effective than just one person thinking on their own. And sometimes you just need, as an entrepreneur, sometimes I feel like I just need to bounce ideas off of another fellow like minded individual just to get insight. Like, is this a good idea? Okay, it is. How can I expand it? And everyone comes from a different walk of life, and I respect that. And I feel like everyone has different, unique insights to share. And everybody deserves to be heard and to have the opportunities and resources to get there.
Right, very well articulated. Now, I'd love to know more about all the listeners who haven't, attended these events.
Mhm.
How would you picture it for their imagination?
Right. Well, essentially, they are very relaxed, I will
Mhm.
say. Some networking events are, a little bit more. They have a plan or agenda. One thing that really stands out about our events would be the pitcher idea. So we actually have um, attendees perform like a 1-minute pitch,
Mhm.
where they get to pitch who they are within a minute. And essentially, it's a challenge for them, because a lot of people are not ready for that,
Right.
but they're there and they're like, you know what, let me just do it. I don't know who's in the room. And it's a great way to kind of break the ice as well.
Mhm.
And then for us, it's an amazing thing, because we get to give these people the opportunity to potentially meet that next, partner or that next client. And it's funny because a lot of them will be really nervous and stuff. And I know exactly, even today when I pitched today, after all these pitches I've done in my life,
Right.
I'm still nervous, right? Like you're always going to, public speaking is one of the biggest fears, right? So we try to, get people out of their comfort zone immediately when they get to
Right.
the event. And then on top of that, just keeping in contact, like nurturing the network and making sure everybody knows who was there, making sure we're sharing information, and yeah, just offering occasional workshops as well, where I basically do like mentorship on different things you're going to need as an entrepreneur, like whether it's mindset or
Mhm.
even just basic financial skills, things like that.
Lovely. So much information, and I'd love to keep this conversation going. Now, first of all, I'd love to know that your company has a very unique name.
Mhm.
OOTB stands for Out of the Box.
Mhm.
Now, why did you come up with this name? How did you think of this name? And why do you think that thinking out of the box is so essential, especially for small businesses to succeed in today's time?
So why I came up with the name or how was essentially I started my company in my room. I actually used to work like a retail job, and I one day, like, I had a bad day at work and I was just like, "You know what? I quit." I quit on the spot. Next day I was in my room. I was like, "What am I going to do?" And then I started out of the box because I was always told growing up that I'm always thinking outside of the box. I always
Right,
have an idea that is outside of the regular norm or what someone else would have thought.
right.
And so it just became like, even my mom used to say it all the time, and my mom is like literally like my inspiration when it comes to everything that I do. And so I took the name and I'm like, let's just carry it. I think it represents me well, and it represents who I want this company to be and who I want the people who work with us to be. I want them to be out of the box thinkers. So essentially that's where the name came out of. Now, the relevancy to today, it still stands. Like, we bridge the gap, I would say, between foundational business and, modern day business. Like,
Mhm.
business has drastically changed. Like, at for example, 40, 50 years ago, sales calls, things like that, that has slowly just
The traditional methods,
everything, yeah,
basically. Yeah.
original methods have
Yeah.
just changed, and now we're in more of a digital age, and we're speaking to a whole new generation now. Like, Gen X is basically 70% of the purchasing market now. So there's just like, we need to talk to them the way they need to be spoken to. And
Exactly.
now that we've absorbed so much information over time, I feel like the tones in which we speak to our customers now are just out of the box. They're not traditional anymore.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story, and the relevancy today is definitely, I think, in marketing, especially, you need out of the box thinking, because if you're not thinking out of the box, you're just repeating what everyone else is doing, and there's no USP for you, right?
Right.
So, Sneha, if you were to be given a time machine right now,
Mhm.
what is that one thing that you do differently going back all these years when you started out?
That's a hard question. One thing that I would do differently, probably um tell my younger self that
Yeah.
I don't need to have a lot of friends around me. Because
Hmm.
growing up, I would say I was surrounded by a lot of friends, but friends don't necessarily mean, like, not everybody has your best interests. So I would say I probably would have maybe isolated myself a little bit more and had a tighter knit circle rather than having so many friends. That's probably one thing I would have
That's very
changed.
interesting, and I kind of relate to it. Could you please expand on this? Because I'm sure if I'm relating to it, a lot of the listeners are also going through something similar in their life.
Right.
Why or why not do you mean this?
Well, I think that as human beings, we are naturally like
Seeking for validation?
seeking, yeah, we're
Yeah.
seeking, like, friendship, relationships. We want, like, someone to see us, to love us, to care about us. But, like, when you really think about it, most people are everybody is selfish, right?
Right.
Which is not a bad thing, because you have to be selfish. We are individual people who have our own daily lives to take
Right.
care of. But it's kind of hard to, I'd say, I was actually talking about this earlier, but it's you have to choose what to absorb.
Right.
And I think if you create, this big group of 50, 60 friends around you or whatever, you have all these opinions and all these things, but you really don't want to take advice from someone you wouldn't take advice from,
Right.
right? Like, I don't want to take advice from someone I don't want to be like, so why would they be my friend? Like, that's just kind of my take on it. And I think if I was strong enough when I was younger to cut off those relationships that were toxic to me, but I couldn't see it until later, I'd probably be further developed at this stage. But I'm still grateful for where I am. But I would say that's the one thing I would change.
Wow, and that's such an important point that you mentioned here, that usually we absorb energy from everyone who's around us. So it is very important for us to be mindful of who is around us so that our success, our everything depends on it,
It
right?
does, yeah. And
Hmm.
it's hard decisions as well, to make, but they're necessary.
Wow. Now, moving forward, let's shift focus to another thing that's very important in today's time, that is learning from your pitfalls, the challenges. What is that one or two challenges on top of your mind, Sneha, that were the biggest when you started out your journey as an entrepreneur?
Biggest challenge, I would probably say, to be honest, I would say it's a challenge that I still deal with today, but probably just being like a young female entrepreneur and just being taken seriously. I constantly feel like I have to prove myself when I'm in certain rooms. I've done pitches for, did like tech products I've created and real estate, projects I had on the way, and just being in the room, with majority of, with let's say 90% of the room being male dominated, also significantly older, seasoned business professionals. It's from the beginning when I walk in looking like this, it's automatically like I have to prove myself. Like, even though, I mean, they never ask themselves, how I got in the room, right? But I just feel like I always have to prove myself, and it's a challenge I constantly face.
I think it's not just you, it's every female
Yeah.
ever who has achieved something in life. And I
Right.
think it's our own mindset only that we need to
Agreed.
focus on. Right?
Agreed. Yeah. I would say, yeah, the challenge would probably be one would be that. And then the other would be learning to be okay with like saying no, like when someone says no, like not getting the contract or the meeting not going well, just being okay with it and getting ready to bounce back faster, because I feel like
Hmm.
once you're able to bounce back quickly, that in itself is a strength that many people have to, learn and to get to at some point. But yeah, those would be probably my two main challenges.
That's so true and so relevant. Everyone who is doing business, or especially a female, and I think the times are changing now. It all depends on how you treat your own self.
Hmm.
If you're having respect of your own self in your own eyes, the world will also treat you accordingly. So it's just about that. We'll be right back with insights on how only 7% of Canadian small businesses successfully expand beyond their initial market and how innovative thinking can change that. Stay tuned.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
Connect and recharge.
make an impression.
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back, listeners. Let's explore why businesses that embrace innovative thinking grow 40% faster than their competitors, and how this mindset shift can redefine their growth trajectory. Now, shifting focus, let's move on to the next topic. Now, Sneha, entrepreneurs, they offer fair, taking risks and stepping outside their comfort zone.
Right.
Now, how do you specifically help business owners embrace innovation and, new ways of thinking without feeling overwhelmed?
Well, essentially, I think just us being that support system, like we become an extension of the team,
Right.
and we allow, as I said, like the business owners and entrepreneurs, we detach them from the strategy of their company and we let them focus on what they really love, which is the whole vision and mission of their entire business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would say just keeping things organized, having a plan, like a plan and organization, another huge value for the business. And then just walking with them, being there with them, as they navigate the changes, like change management, huge part of how we do things. We don't just give you the plan and walk away. We'll give you the plan and we'll stay there and execute it and work with third parties and whoever they feel needs to be involved in order to scale, because for us it's about the business success. Like we don't feel like we've achieved what we needed to do until we see that business is succeeding. Then we know we're doing it right and we
Right.
don't settle for anything less.
Definitely, when you see your clients growing, that is when you know that as a company that
100%.
you succeeded as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, one last question for you. Where do you envision out of the box consulting to be in the next decade?
In the next decade, I would say expanded into outside of Canada. So into like probably the Caribbean, Europe, the US, depending on how things go. Um, definitely expanded. I would say at that point, we'd have a law firm as well, and we'd also do legal work. And essentially, I want the business to be known as almost like whatever we touch turns into gold. Every business
Wow.
we've touched just
Yeah.
becomes a Fortune 500 company, or just essentially like I'm just so motivated to see business owners succeed because I went through the treacherous conditions of starting a business and just those nights of sleepless nights. And like business owners work so hard and
Right.
people have no idea, and yet some people weaponize business owners and almost act like because they've worked this hard and they've gotten to their success that they've changed who they are. But a lot of these business owners come from nothing and they deserve to get, if you're willing to do the work to, you know, build $1 million company, you
Right.
deserve to get there and you deserve
Exactly.
support to get there. And that's, I just want to be that. Yeah, I just want us, everything we touch turns into gold in 10 years and have that record.
Wow, that's a very motivational speech, I'd say. Short speech, but very motivational. And it has worked wonders in me automatically, and I'm sure it will do wonders to your vision as well. Now, before we wrap up this amazing conversation, if there's one key takeaway that you'd want our listeners to take away, especially the small business owners, what would it be? Specifically about strategy and scaling. Where should they start from, and what is the first thing that they should do after listening to you?
I would say never say never. Like I think some business owners may think it's not accessible to scale and to, but it is. It might just require a shift in perspective or a new perspective and a fresh idea.
Right.
There's no such thing as long as you keep moving with the times. I think essentially just don't be closed-minded. Be open-minded, be an open-minded person that's, open to new ideas and to new innovations. And yeah, as long as you do that, you really can't. My mom always says like you can't lose if you're always learning. And I agree. As long as you're always learning and you're in expanding your knowledge, there's always room for growth and the sky's the limit at that point. Next step, I would say for a small business that's pondering scaling and expansion is to sit down and write some goals down. What do you want the
Right.
next year to be? It could start as simple as that and then bring those goals to someone that can execute them or at least help you plan and organize your thoughts.
Wow, that is fantastic advice. Having a clear strategy, a strong network, and an open mindset is what allows a business to grow and succeed, especially in today's ever changing landscape. Now, I don't want to let you go. Really, I'm loving this conversation. So, one last question for our
Okay.
listeners. How important is intuition and gut feeling when it comes to taking decisions in business? And I'm asking this on a human level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything. Like I've read multiple books about the gut intuition connection with the brain and the nervous system, and your gut is never lying. If it's not a yes, if it's not a hard yes, then it's probably a no.
No. Yeah.
Right. And like gut and intuition is everything, and it's going back to your point about respecting yourself, and you know, if you respect yourself, you'll respect your decision making skills, and gut is intuition is everything on every level, personal and business life. It really is everything. You got to trust yourself. You're your best friend. You're the only person you're going to be with for your whole
Right.
life, from when you were born to when you die. So,
Right.
yeah.
Wow, that is some great advice again. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sneha, for
you.
doing this. I loved every bit of this conversation.
Thank you. Me too.
That was an incredible conversation with Sneha Kumar, founder of Out of the Box Consulting Group, on how small businesses can develop stronger strategies, scale successfully, and embrace innovation for long term growth. A very special thank you to our podcast partners, RBC, UPS, IHG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for their continued support of small business success. For more expert insights and resources, visit CanadianSME.ca and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.